Malaysia is a country like no other. It is rich in history and culture, accommodating a vast population of over 31 million people while embracing a multitude of cultural diversity. Although Malaysia is still considered a developing country, we live in a society that is democratic, liberal, caring, economically just, progressive and prosperous, and in full possession of an economy that is competitive, dynamic and robust. Nevertheless, there can be no fully developed Malaysia until we finally overcome the challenges we face as a nation, one of them being urban poverty. Our nation has been one historically plagued with poverty. However, in recent years, this has greatly improved. While the government has undertaken monumental efforts to attempt to eradicate poverty in Malaysia, our country still continues to suffer from the ills of impoverishment both in urban and rural areas. Despite undergoing rapid economic development over recent decades, Malaysia's gross domestic product, per capita income, level of industrialization, and overall standard of living are not on par with other developed nations. The World Bank classifies Malaysia as highly urbanized, with more than 75% of the country living in urban areas, but among the dwellers live the many urban poor. So, what exactly is urban poverty? Urban poverty is usually defined in two ways: as an absolute standard based on a minimum amount of income needed to sustain a healthy and minimal comfortable life, and as a relative standard that is set based on the average standard of living in a nation. Those who lack a certain amount of material possessions of money, living with many deprivations, are considered to be in poverty. Now let's talk about urban poverty in the Malaysian government. The Malaysian government defines urban poverty as lack of monetary ability to obtain basic needs, which are separated into food and non-food components, measured by non-food and food poverty line income. Now that we know its meaning, the question is, what are the underlying factors of urban poverty? Large-scale urbanization is a global phenomenon, and Malaysia is no exception. The rate of urbanization has gone up due to increases in rural-urban migration, the growth of new urban areas, and the extension of administrative urban boundaries. The migration of low-income groups from rural into urban areas have contributed to the rise in urban poverty, adding to constraints on urban services, infrastructure, and the environment. As a result, poverty, which was known as a rural phenomenon, has become more urbanized. The next contributing factor to urban poverty is low levels of education. The rise of rural-urban migration and the people's limited self-development skills have contributed to the growing population of urban poor in the country. With growing urbanization all over the world, rural folks migrate to urban areas to secure employment and earn a better income. Another contributing factor to urban poverty is high cost of living. This is when the living costs generally tends to be higher in urban areas as food, transportation, and housing are more expensive. Therefore, urban households require higher incomes than rural households to avoid poverty and to have access to basic amenities, healthcare, childcare, and children's education. While there are many variables in an economy that can create poverty, unemployment is one of the most common causes. With no job comes a loss of income, and many families are left without enough money to meet the high cost of living expenses in the urban areas. This would force them to borrow money in order to support their needs, leaving many families in debt. Those are some of the many factors of urban poverty. Urban poverty has a profound impact on the society. This is because it can cause society to lose the opportunity to acquire education, to obtain quality healthcare services, and it may also increase crime rates as people tend to resort to drugs, prostitution, or burglary in order to fend for themselves. Now we would like to hear from our fellow Malaysians. What are your thoughts on urban poverty? Comment down below and share your thoughts with us. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video. I'm Ida. Thank you for watching.